Don't hate the player, Josh. Hate the game. Welcome back to the Scale Builders Guild. Thanks again for watching. It's episode 7 of the Axial SCX24 Budget Build Off. If you are not familiar with the budget build format, it's where Josh from Harley Designs and myself take the Axial SCX24 and build our own creations using a budget of $50 each week. That budget doesn't include shipping or conversions, which is good. Here it is after 7 weeks. It's not at all a stock SCX24 by any means. A lot has happened. A lot continues to happen. And a lot will still probably happen before the finale next week, which is rapidly approaching. I can't believe it's already been 7 weeks that we've been working on this project. And there's been some significant changes and some significant improvements, if I do say so myself, from the really cool cab over Land Rover body that I made, the rear cage from an ECX 24 scale Barrage, all the 3D printed parts that I've been doing, new wheels and tires for this week, and a ton of mechanical upgrades and electronic upgrades from Furitek. This is a pretty impressive little truck, and I'm having an absolute blast. I always enjoy these budget build-offs. This one, for whatever reason, I think I'm really nailing it this time, because in a larger scale, like in the past we've done Honchos, we've done TRX4s, it's hard to do a hard body in that scale, in that budget. You know, usually these hard bodies are a lot more expensive, but using a 24th scale model from Revell like I did here and modifying it to make it not at all what it used to be, you have some significant wiggle room in the budget. That only cost me $34 or so to get started in that. So pretty unique change, and one that I'm really happy with. For this week, cosmetically, you can tell the grille is on, all the headlights and marker lights are in, even the glass is in, and I've actually gone in and tinted that. So I think it's looking pretty good. Will there be an interior for this truck? Probably not. The parts that exist with the interior, it's just not going to give me enough room. It's full depth because it's, you know, a static model. And to scratch build one in the time that I have left isn't really probably going to happen. Additionally, the electronics and everything that is in there doesn't offer a ton of room under the hood to actually put a full interior in. So I'm sorry if I'm disappointing anybody on that regard. I just don't think there's time, and I don't really want to add weight up top to ruin this any further. Let's go into some of the upgrades that I've made for this week and some of the wild explanations for what I'm going to be doing. First things first, I think the most obvious change is wheels and tires. These are the little guy racing parts tires. These are the Trail King MTs. And these are made by Jordan Pellegrino, who is a full-size racing off-road truck guy. And I think he just sort of fell in love with this tiny hobby and has been making some pretty cool accessories, these tires included. These do have foam. They are very tall and very large, but you know what? I think it just kind of works. I know it's not scale, and I know it's not accurate to the body that I chose, but let's be honest. Is this any more less accurate? It's just a truck, right? It's an off-road truck with giant wheels and tires. So I'm going to go with it. I think it looks pretty great, and it aids in performance significantly. It is a huge improvement, and I'm blown away with how they perform. They look great. They've got a really nice soft compound, and they just add a lot of beef to this overall build. Additionally, I've also used the Axial Method wheels. These are not a beadlock wheel, they're just a plastic replacement wheel. These came on the C10, I think, if I'm not mistaken, as stock, and you can get them in aftermarket, and they are super reasonable in terms of the pricing. But the reason I chose them was I thought they looked good on this build, nice aggressive wheel, and they suit the kind of the scheme that's going on here. I thought they looked really good. Now, one of the things that I was auditioning last week that I told you not to look at was these wheel wideners or axle wideners. And they're from a company called Millstone. And you can get those on eBay. I will put a link in the description below. Of course, I'll put links to all of the products that I've added this week so you can pick them up and follow along with your own build at home. But one of the things that I needed to do was increase the track width. Because if I wasn't going to do that, there would be a substantial amount of rubbing with these tires on the body. And I didn't want to cut the body any more than I've already cut it. So this was sort of in an effort to give me a bit more track width, also going to give me a lot more stability on the trails. And I think it just also kind of helps the truck look even better than it already did. With a little bit wider, more aggressive stance, I think it's really starting to come together. These wheel wideners are pretty great. I'm just going to take one off here so you get an idea of what what happens here. But super easy to take off. They've got this little hex pin that goes in through the wheel. So that's the little hex pin. After you take the wheel and tire off, there is a brass weight that has a pin mount on the opposite side and a hex mount on the front. So you're gaining about, I don't know, about 12 millimeters, give or take, over stock, which is great. They also include a brass spacer that goes behind the drive pin. And that just kind of keeps everything nice and safely locked in position. A great way to increase your track width and also add some weight. So that's already 3 things that we've added this week, and you're probably freaking out about the budget like I was, but not to worry. More stuff to go here. In the previous week, I had added these boat sides, which also kind of function very nicely as electronics holders for this truck. They are still a work in progress, so I won't be counting them this week. I am looking at making them the actual mount point for the body. And you probably noticed that I did add a new front bumper on this truck here. This was 3D printed and designed by yours truly. It's not exactly perfect, and I'll explain to you why in a second here. But so for now, for the purposes of the budget, these boat sides will not be counted this week. We'll definitely be counting them next week. But there is some more modifications I'm making, and it's just to sort of figure out a better body mounting system. And initially, what I wanted to do was use this front bumper as the actual mounting mechanism. So it would sort of be like a clip that would clip into this front sort of valance here and keep everything in a nice stable kind of mounted position. I don't think it's going to work quite the way I had intended, so I'm going to redesign this bumper with the other and final upgrade for this week on the list. And that's the new Emax ES08MA2 servo. This is going to give you a lot more punch than the original servo will. It is slightly larger, so I've crammed it into the existing servo mount for now. It doesn't really fit properly. So we're going to be getting a new servo mount for the final week, which we will have to creatively account for. Somehow we'll make it fit in the budget, but that's something that definitely needs to get an upgrade. But this servo is a phenomenal upgrade, and it is massively cheap. That said, it is a little bit larger footprint, so like I said earlier, you will need to get a new mount or just cram it in like I did. That's what she said. That's what he said. Anyway, and that's one of the reasons this front bumper isn't really working quite right, is that it does interfere with the servo as it sits right now. So once we get that new mount in, we're going to redesign that front bumper so everything clears and doesn't get in the way and gives us full suspension travel both left and right. Right now it's a bit janky, to say the least. Okay. Time for the tally for week 7. I spent $4.99 on the Axial Method wheels. I spent $25.98 on the Little Guy Racing tires. I spent $8.99 on the Emax servo and a spicy $32.99 on the Millstone axle widening kit. Spicy. For a grand total of $72.95. And you're probably saying, wow, you really blew the budget this week. Well, actually, I don't think I did. because we took off the rear wheel weights, and those were $16.99, and we're not using the link kit that I had purchased for $10.99, giving me $27.98 to refund off of the truck, leaving me with a total spend for week 7 of $44.97. Subtract that from the $49.57 I had to spend. Remember, I went 43 cents over last week. That leaves me with a total of $4.60 remaining going into week 8. That's math. So yeah, we actually got a lot accomplished this week for a reasonable amount of money, I'd say. And, you know, taking parts off a truck and returning them is always a great way to make a little bit of money back. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about the budget now, and I'm feeling pretty great about how this truck is coming along. I think it looks amazing. There's really no angle that looks great. It looks weird from every angle, and I think that's what I like about it. It's not a normal truck, and it's definitely unique, and it's definitely got that Scale Builders Guild kind of flair. And it drives amazingly well. Let's fire it up and do some driving around on the bench here. All right, so what I've actually done, one other kind of interesting thing is that because I'm still using the original transmitter and ESC as a pass-through from the original SCX24, there is an option here on your transmitter to kind of change your throttle input. High if you're giving this to me, and low if you're giving this to Josh. But as an example, because of the Furitek brushless system with FOC, if you use it in the low setting on the transmitter, you have even more low speed control. It's pretty spectacular. As you can see, that's like 50% throttle on low. So you really do get a lot of excellent control. It's moving very slowly. The cool thing about FOC though is that no matter the obstacle, it will try to keep that motor running at exactly the same RPMs over an obstacle. So you get that really nice controlled feeling. Okay, enough of that. The performance though has improved dramatically. I don't know if I've got, where's my 1, 2, 3 blocks? Here we go. Let's just see what we can do obstacle wise, something like that maybe. Let's just give it a go here. No problem. Just so smooth, so controlled. I love it. I'm thrilled with how this truck is coming along. I think it's pretty awesome. These little guy racing parts tires are pretty amazing, and I'm glad to have made that upgrade. Because it really does kind of change the size of the obstacles that this little guy can handle, which is great. Anything that makes this truck perform better is definitely a plus in my book. All right, so I think that's gonna do it. We've got a bunch of stuff to get done before the next episode. So we're gonna have a running video in week 8. We're also gonna have the final finished truck in week 8, and I'm really looking forward to sharing that with you. So I hope you're enjoying this series. If you are, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you get updates anytime there's a new video from the Scale Builders Guild. So the question for this week, at what point do you start to forego scale accuracy for performance? Is that something you start with right at the beginning? Is performance just the most important thing, or is scale always going to have some sort of aspect in every build that you do? Post your comments down below. You know I love reading through your feedback, and I try to answer as many of them as I can. All right, that's going to do it. Creative math, returning some parts, I guess you could say, and more fun stuff to come. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.